veiled threats. Suddenly absentee rate goes through the roof. Or a student that was normally attentive is suddenly distracted or not there at all. Friends hear the person talking crazy, but they don't want to get involved. They don't want to be the one to tell. You know, this one is interesting. I found I think it was about 2 years ago, I found an image of a student in a classroom holding a gun, showing it off to his friends. And another student posted, "Oh my God, is that even in our school?" And the person who posted it said, "Yeah, it's in my third form." And within a pretty short period of time, even though it was a somewhat anonymous posting, because of the images the student had posted his schedule. And on his schedule, it showed that he had Mr. So-and-so for calculus. And so I did a web search on a Mr. So-and-so who taught calculus. I figured out the school, figured out the class the kid was in. I talked to the principal. And what the principal said to me was, and we established it was a hoax and it was, the kid thought it was a joke. But what the principal was so upset about, actually it was the head of school, not a principal, what he was so upset about was they had just had a conference with the students on, if you see something, say something. The only protection we have is each other. And no one said anything to him about it. We came out of the blue and notified him, and shortly after we notified him, a parent saw it, and a parent notified the school, but not one student notified the school. The students, however, did reshare it. So we don't want you to be in a position where, because people don't want to get involved, you're the last to know. Because what we see then is an escalation of social media posts, where the person posts that they're tired, they're despondent, they're going to get back at people, they're tired of being treated like a dog. And when we see these things, if you saw a threat today, right now, what would you do? Who would you tell? Who's in charge? Once you told them, who's responsible for following up? How do they see it? Do you have a team of people? Does everyone see it at one time? Or does it go into a file that only certain people see? When we set up monitoring for a school, we sit down with you and we listen to your special issues, the challenges that you know you face within your organization. They may be rivalries with other schools that escalate. There may be certain kids who have a history of conflict between each other. There may be certain words for drugs that are used in your part of the country that aren't used in other parts of the country that we need to know about. We need to bring all of that information into one place so that when we sit down, we can develop not only the search that we're going to use to make sure we're looking at your school, not the other 22 schools that also share your name. We're looking at your geography, your student body, your teachers, your staff. We're not looking at anything covertly. We're looking at only open source aggregated information, but we're bringing it to a place where it's not hidden. Everyone can see the information, share the information, and we can start to understand the trends and the actions and protocol needed to respond, so that when something happens, someone on my team who sees a threat knows the exact workflow and communication protocol to escalate to your team. Can we mute your phone, Bill? And we need to make sure we're not on disparate systems so that some people can access one technology tool that gathers information and only other people can access another one, and that we have all key information and detail known. Bill, can you go ahead and mute your phone for me, please? Thank you. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I'm getting just a little bit of feedback.
Muted.
Okay. All right, so our goal here is to assure that we can help you connect the dots and assure that that weapon or that gun or that activity, that violent activity or that threat doesn't come into your school. And we do this through 4 key preventative steps. The first thing is we want to assess the risk. Everyone on this call, those of you who have joined us for the last 3 years for these information-rich sessions, want to remind you that you have accessible to you a no-fee, which Jim Satterfield says is our best price. It's a free assessment. It's about an hour conversation, and it is a self-guided assessment. And we help you look at some of the top-level risks that may exist in your organization. Again, it's our best price, so please, if you'd like to, once this session's over, reach out to webinars@firestorm.com and say, I'd like to schedule my assessment. We're going to help you understand the nature of other risks that you may not be aware of. And this is going to allow your school to take the strategic steps that it needs to mitigate and manage not only violence, but other threats that may occur in your organization. I wanted to show you just a few. Every week we gather examples of not just school threats, but incidences that occurred. And these are just some posts that we see or that have been reported by the news. Tomorrow we're going to shoot up at Godby High School. This was from January. We were supposed to do it on April 13th, but since every other school is doing it, we might as well do it now. How do you know whether that's a real threat or not? When it comes to your children, your students, there's no time to say, well, it could be a hoax. We just need to treat everything with the gravity that it requires. But we can let you know within moments of the post happening if we gather it through. All my life I've been bullied by these same kids. Well, tomorrow that all ends. Maryville is going to look ugly tomorrow with a gun. Bye-bye, Maryville. I'm sick and tired of teachers. I'm just going to kill every single one of them. It's over for Maryville. You know, and if you look down, this was a Facebook post. This is the post I'm reading is on the top left. If you look down, you can see the little icon faces from Facebook. I mean, some people actually posted the laughy emoji or a laughing icon. They didn't immediately tell someone in their school there was a threat on Facebook. They laughed about it and shared it. We've already planted napalm, propane, and pressure cooker explosives in multiple schools. They're set to go off in places that will cause maximum structural damage to each building for maximum casualty. Do you want to read that about your school? Do you want to have ABC or CNN or Fox News call you and say, so about that threat that somebody just posted? In addition to assessing the risk and understanding what are the conversations that are out there and what kind of words do we need to search for, we need to understand the trends that exist right now. What are the trends that are going on? And there are trends in both violence and threats of violence. So we established this process for monitoring those trends inside and outside of your school, especially in your geographic location. You may have gang activity geographically located right near your school that spills over into your school property. There may be other issues. Again, as we mentioned earlier, drugs have different names in different regions of the country. But I also want to mention to you, Dr. Peter Langman, who's considered the authority on research when it comes to school shootings, has just updated his key paper on a 50-year analysis of trends. He updated it on October 31st of 2016, and it's some definitive work. And if anybody's interested in looking at that, I'll be happy to share that URL with you. Just reach out to me at webinars@firestorm.com, and I'll be happy to do that for you. Additionally, who is sick of clowns? If I asked you to raise your hand, even though I can't see it, I could pretty much guarantee all of you have your hand raised. I don't know what's going on with the creepy clown hoaxes, but you have to treat these threats seriously because there could be a seriousness thread underneath it. We have a very large school system we monitor for, and as soon as we would find and identify one of these clown Twitter accounts and shut it down, a new one would pop up. And we finally figured out, it was linked to a student, which we really appreciate that the first person the account followed was the kid who created it, which is a mistake some of the kids make, but I hope they keep making it. This has really created some angst and concern across the country. Parents have accidentally continued to share it on Facebook, and that's a trend. The third thing we need to do is understand who is really in your building. We want to help you make sure that that your employees, your teachers, and others are who they say you are. Jim Satterfield has handled more incidences of everything across the board, and recently we've discussed one incident that he's had to handle that was really, it's a sad incident because there's a school system where there was a significant behavioral concern by a non-teaching employee, and this non-teaching employee had complete access to any of the students they wanted to. They could pull them out of class at any time. And it was only until the uncle of a student saw sexually explicit material on his, I believe he was a 9-year-old student's telephone of the student, that an incident was reported. And the person to whom it was reported, senior official in the school, said, all right, I'll get to it, and did not get to it. Rather, went on vacation and didn't worry about it. Now, as mandated reporters, I hope you're all just appalled that that happened. But it became worse and worse in that thousands of hours of videotaped child pornography of the students in that school on school grounds was found. And that has continued to be a very high profile, very upsetting case. We're not handling that, but we were involved in some information in the beginning of it. So you've got to conduct pre-employment screening of all your employees. That may include some social media analysis. One of the great things about having a third party work with you to do social and traditional media monitoring and analysis is that we can deliver objective results to you that will not result in you in any way being influenced by the information you've seen. We recently had an incident where a teacher was accused of inappropriate conduct. And when we did the analysis of the person's social media presence, we saw some information that was not relevant at all to the situation or the circumstances at hand. And so we made a choice to leave that information out because we did not want any future litigation to include some sort of bias because of this other information we've seen. So it really behooves you to have a third party objectively present data and information to you so that it doesn't change hiring decisions or other disciplinary decisions that may be made, or accusations that there was some other reason for an action or a disciplinary measure. And we can just help you find best of class when it comes to this information. Because at any given time right now, I just want you to go to Google or Bing or whatever your search engine is, and I just want you to search for teacher accused or teacher arrested. And there are millions and millions of results. And we're not going back into ancient history. It goes back into about the last 30 days, and then you just get tired of looking at things. So we know it's a problem. We can help you, and we can also make sure you have a plan and a protocol for when something like this does happen. Because what we're going to do is we're going to aggregate open source, non-covert social media and traditional media in order to give you a picture of not only what's being said about your school or your campus, but what's being said from inside it by your teachers and your students. Robert Butler was someone who returned to his alma mater and shot an assistant principal and a principal, one of whom died. I don't want to see that happen in your school. This was his last message on social media. Everybody that used to know me, I'm sorry, but Omaha changed me and effed me up. And the school I attend is even worse. You're going to hear about the evil expletive I did, but that expletive school drove me to this. I want you guys to remember me for who I was before this. I know I greatly affected the lives of the family's room, but I'm sorry. I don't want to see this happen for you. So we utilize predictive intelligence. So the earlier a problem is detected, the less impact it has on your school. And you know, there's no guarantee that every threat's going to be captured. But intelligence monitoring is a part of an overall school violence prevention program. And I know you've listened to Jim talk about what Firestorm calls, after years of research and development, our BRSA program, Behavioral Risk Threat Assessment. And again, you can just reach out to us or Jay Satterfield at firestorm.com, and we'll help you implement the BRSA program in your school. And one part of that goes through each part of the program, through the Predict.Plan.Perform, is utilizing predictive intelligence to find threats like this. September 2016, a spokesperson for Cabarrus County Schools in North Carolina said they are aware of a threat and are working with police to identify the person responsible for the post. Now, this account has since been suspended, but this is something we pick up on social media. This kid with a gun that says, in the gym Friday, get into the spirit with my 765s going through your skulls. It's a pretty straightforward threat. Now, other students started saying, oh, I think it's because of a rivalry that's going on. People are saying it might be a student who's just trying to spook Central kids. I don't care. It's not a joke, and it must be acted upon immediately. And the kids need to know this, and parents need to know it's not a joke, ever. Now, I want to just say a word about something called geospoofing, and it's important. Part of what we do, we leverage two best-of-class tools in order to conduct thorough predictive intelligence searches for you. One of what you're looking at right now is a visual of the dashboard, a section of a dashboard of one of the tools that I use, and I've got it showing me, I said, just show me Instagram and Twitter posts. And this tool only shows me geolocation services, and that means if you have your geolocation turned on, I can see where you are. And in this case, you'll see off to the right there's a baseball diamond, and a little bit more on the right there's football fields. So this is all of the messaging that was coming out of the school at a particular day and time. And the reason this is important on a large campus is because one of those messages said that there was going to be a significant violence event, and it was posted by this person. His name is Hunter Park, and when he posted that message that geo-located him in the middle of campus at the University of Missouri, he was actually 100 miles away. He used a spoofing application to spoof his GPS location. And then he posted on another social media website, "My roommates and I spoofed our GPS and are trolling your yik-yak, Mizzou. It's fantastic." Well, he was arrested. He was charged with a terroristic threat. And he used this type of fake GPS location spoofing service that's free to anyone. You can go to the Android store or the App Store, any of those, and these are free all over the place. This was the actual post that he made. "I'm going to stand my ground tomorrow and shoot every black person I see." Well, especially during the time that he posted this, Missouri was and still is undergoing a great deal of civil unrest. And all he did was throw a gasoline can into the middle of an already raging inferno. And what's important about this is that if you can spoof yourself to appear at one location, you can be at that location and spoof yourself to appear somewhere else. So I can be on your campus. I can put a threat out that says I planted a bomb behind the toilet in the boys' bathroom, and I can actually show that I'm 100 miles away or 1,000 miles away. And you can't assume that anything I've posted is true, from my location to my message. We know that bomb threats or swatting, digital swatting, is increasing on school campuses. I never thought we'd have to understand that our children are afraid of beheadings, but they're watching the videos just like we are on YouTube and elsewhere. And threats targeting specific groups of schools are increasing, and we have to be aware of them. And so, through predictive intelligence, we can monitor these threats and hope to identify those that directly affect your students, your teachers, your community, and help you develop the protocol so that when we do identify something, you know how to escalate it immediately. Now, I want you, if some of you are sitting together in a room, I know we've done that before, we've seen pictures of attendees, y'all have sent us pictures on social media of you sitting around listening to one of our sessions. We thank you for that. I want you to just briefly look at this together and think about it. What do you think of this statement? When are we going to stop taking these threats seriously? Do we really think the bad guys are going to tell the authorities their plan before it happens? It's probably some kid who wanted to get out of his Friday afternoon test. That's from a parent on a story about a bombing. Do we really think the bad guys are going to tell the authorities about their plan before it happens? Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we know they will. In the UC Merced example, the shooter had a detailed manifesto on a blogging website. The Oregon shooter had a manifesto that he posted in part on Facebook. And Elliot Rodger posted video after video after video on YouTube. And I watched every one of them. Yes, people who commit violence want to talk about it. Jim Satterfield says this all the time. They're going to tell someone, and after they've told someone, it's going to spread. There are going to be rumors, there are going to be direct details, and we find it on social media. And how do we find those threats? Well, my team uses something we call internally ACT, and that is we need to gain awareness, put it in context, and then leverage our tools and training in order to alert our clients, you, our schools, what we feel is happening within their organization. When we look at awareness, we're not looking about just after the fact sort of things, which these are. Who brought a gun to school? Somebody brought a gun to school. Why'd my dad just text me asking me if there's a gun to school? Something in the middle you'll see too are emojis. We search for emojis. Under the emoji is a piece of code that tells us if it's a deadly weapon, if it's a gun, if it's a police officer's face with a gun, if it's a teacher's face with a gun. We can see those things. And by being aware of the syntax, the context of language, the way kids talk allows us to help you develop concrete action plans and escalation plans before an issue happens. Here's an example of one. This was on Facebook. Fine, then I'll bring a gun to school Friday and kill all the girls. And the person says, don't do that. The person says, I will. I'm serious. I'm going to do it at 9:30 Friday, first hour. And the person says, don't. And the guy says, I'm serious. I have a 12-gauge shotgun, a 9mm pistol, and I'll bring and start killing everyone. And the reason he was doing this was he was trying to get the girls on a cheerleading team to send him nude photos. Otherwise, he was going to carry out this threat. And the kids who saw this, after this first response, we need to get reporting on that immediately. We need to teach students, teachers, employees what is the protocol for immediate alert when we see something like that on the social media website. And then we need to put it in context. So we saw this the other day. I'm taking my gun to school. Yesterday they tried to jump me. And we have a responsibility to understand what that's about. And what that's about are song lyrics. We run everything we see through to understand, is it a quote? Is it a quote by someone else? Is it someone resharing something that Kim Kardashian said? We have to put it in context. And in this case, I'm taking my gun to school. Yesterday they tried to jump me are part of the lyrics from a song called School by an Up-and-Coming Rapper. 2.5 years ago, there was a group called, there still is a group called Amur. They're not very good, but they made a lot of waves, and they got a lot of kids listening to them because they have a song called Brought a Gun to School. And the lyrics went viral. And within a very short period of time, we were seeing millions of mentions of Brought a Gun to School. Well, we had to really be aware of when they were quoting the lyrics and what context so that we weren't constantly alerting on a false positive. We do that through some sophisticated tools that we've used for quite a long time. When Jim and I were first working on creating our predictive intelligence monitoring program, there were only tools in the marketplace that were designed for marketers. And we want you to be able to market. So our tools now serve a dual purpose. You can message out. If you want to market to people in the Philippines and great students there, you can do that with our tools. But we can now also use these best-of-class tools to monitor for threats and risks. One of our tools is owned by a company with 10 million clients, Hootsuite. And that means that Hootsuite, because they're an enterprise-level company, they're able to support, develop our application, and train our teams on a regular basis in best practices. And we're able to create for you a simple visual dashboard so that you can see what's going on with certain phrases, keywords, or geographically within your school at any time on social media apps like Twitter, RSS feeds, blogs like Tumblr, G+, even Reddit and 4chan. And the other piece of that is that when we see something. We can help you understand what location that's coming from exactly in two ways. So we can, A, put a geolocation fence around your school or your campus property, and then we can cross-check that. If we start to see a word, or let's say this clown hoax, we start to see the darker the color, that means the more activity is coming out of that place. We can call or work with our schools in whatever specific region of Georgia you are and say, hey, we got something trending that's a little odd. We can call and contact our Georgia Independent Schools Association and say, put a message out to your members that says there's some very odd stuff going on when it comes to clowns or whatever the next strange trend may be. Now, the last thing we want to cover here, and we have just a few minutes, is what is the difference between a threat or a behavior of concern? We know what a threat is, right? A threat's when somebody comes up to somebody else and pokes them really hard in the shoulder and says, I'm going to kick your butt at the end of the school day out by the buses. That's bullying. Or there's also cyberbullying, an actual fight, stalking. We know that those are clear, threatening behaviors. Behaviors of concern are not quite so clear. And we see it all the time on Instagram. I say Instagram because different tools are used by kids for different things. And when it comes to cutting and threats of suicide or self-harm by both boys and girls, we see an awful lot of that on Instagram. We are now, sadly, seeing an awful lot of it on some of the self-broadcast tools like Facebook Live and YouNow and some of those other tools. If you want more information on specific tools and their threats, again, just reach out, webinars at Firestorm.com, and we can talk about that. And in 2017, I will be putting something together for you that describes those in more detail. But what we're looking for in behaviors of concern are those sort of veiled or indirect threats or posts on social media where the poster is blaming other people for the challenges or their issues. And we look for these angry or threatening statements on social media as just one dimension of a multi-dimensional approach to behaviors of concern. But this monitoring of social media goes through all phases of our behavioral risk threat assessment program. And I wanted to show you how that fits in, because we have asked you, do you currently use external intelligence to identify potential threats? And overwhelmingly, we see there is a significant need for improvement. Many people, when they answer this question, wrote additional notes to us that said, I think we do, but I don't know what we do, and if I saw something, I wouldn't know who to tell. I wouldn't know what to do with the information if I had it. And that's what we want to help you do. We want to help you, through a predictive intelligence program, move from a stage of maturity in your organization where everything's a surprise to a culture where everything is strategic, to a predict, plan, perform culture of performance. I want to leave you with one thought. The greatest obstacle to discovery is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. I want to thank you for joining us today. You can download the brief of this session within about 48 hours, maybe a little bit more, on our website under the Resource tab, or you can just go to firestorm.com/brief. The video will be uploaded to our YouTube channel some point today. And I want to thank the Georgia Independent Schools Association for allowing me to talk to you today about monitoring predictive intelligence and the evolution of it for your organization. Please visit us at firestorm.com, contact us at webinars@firestorm.com, or call us anytime for any questions or comments related to this or any other sessions we've conducted. That will end our session for today, and I want to thank you for your time. Goodbye.